The 1980s didn't just give us big hair and neon spandex. It also gave us songs so controversial they got banned, boycotted, and blasted by politicians. These tracks weren't just catchy, they were ticking cultural time bombs. In this video, we'll be looking at the 10 most controversial banned songs of the 1980s. Number 1. Spasticus Autisticus. Ian Dury and the Blockheads, 1981.
Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus Autisticus, I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus.
Spasticus Autisticus was a Molotov cocktail lobbed directly at the world's condescending backpats toward disabled people. Written by Ian Dury, who had polio, Spasticus Autisticus was a snarling response to the UN's International Year of Disabled Persons. Which he saw as nothing more than a feel-good PR campaign with zero substance. The BBC took one look at the title and basically screamed, "Turn it off." They banned it instantly, afraid the lyrics were offensive, missing the point entirely that this was empowerment through provocation. Dury wasn't mocking the disabled, he was mocking everyone else's uncomfortable politeness and shallow activism. The song was decades ahead of its time, and ironically, the very thing that got it banned in 1981 made it a Paralympic anthem in 2012. Number 2. One in a Million, Guns N' Roses, 1988. If controversy had a soundtrack, One in a Million would be the needle dragging across the vinyl. Released on GNR Lies in 1988, this track was a nuclear bomb launched into the middle of every culture war happening at the time. Racist slurs? Check. Homophobic digs? Double check. Immigrant bashing? Triple check. Axl Rose somehow managed to alienate entire populations in the span of 6 minutes, and then defended it by saying he was just being honest. Can't say that made it any better. While the rest of the band stood awkwardly in the background, Axl doubled down, calling the lyrics a reflection of his street experience in LA, as if everyone's first trip to the city ends in a slur-filled rant. Civil rights groups, LGBTQ organizations, and even fellow rockers torched the song in interviews and public statements. And yet, for years, it stayed on the album, until Guns N' Roses finally removed it from releases, like a guilty whisper being erased from history. But the damage was done, permanently. Number 3. Dear God, XTC, 1986. If you ever wanted to watch religious conservatives spontaneously combust, just play them Dear God. XTC's Andy Partridge delivers a lyrical open letter to the Almighty, and spoiler alert, it's not fan mail. The song doesn't dance around its message. It straight up questions the existence of God, the suffering of children, and the hypocrisy of religious institutions. Subtle? Not even close. Predictably, the backlash was fast and explosive. American radio stations yanked it off the air. Christian groups held angry protests. There were bomb threats against stations that dared to play it. One school in Florida reportedly received a threatening letter just for allowing it to be heard. Ironically, Dear God wasn't even meant to be on the album. It was left off Skylarking until fan demand got it added later. It's almost poetic. A song rejected by its own creators ends up rejected by entire institutions. And yet, despite all the theory, it became one of XTC's most iconic tracks. Turns out when you challenge the heavens, you also end up on a hell of a lot of band lists. Number 4. Beds Are Burning, Midnight Oil, 1987.
It belongs to them. Let's give it back.
Midnight Oil lit a match under Australia's conscience with Beds Are Burning. This song demanded the return of land to Indigenous Australians. They did it loud enough to shake the country's national ego during its 1988 bicentennial. While everyone else was waving flags and patting themselves on the back, Midnight Oil came barreling in like, hey, remember colonialism? Yeah, we should probably deal with that. Midnight Oil was banned in South Africa due to the apartheid. The song was seen as divisive, even unpatriotic, which is wild because at its core, Beds Are Burning is about justice, about returning what was stolen. But in the sanitized version of patriotism, there's no room for that kind of reckoning. Of course, controversy only amplified its reach. It became a global hit played on international stages, even performed in front of world leaders. The band didn't care who they offended, they were all in. And clearly, nothing ruffles feathers quite like bringing up uncomfortable truths at a national celebration. Because if there's one thing history's shown us, it's that timing is everything, especially when it comes to getting yourself banned. Number 5. This Note's for You, Neil Young, 1988.
Ain't singing for Pepsi.
By the late 80s, MTV had basically turned into a glorified Pepsi commercial. Every music video had a product placement, every artist had a sponsorship deal, and artistic integrity was being traded for cola money. Neil Young's This Note's for You is a song that nuked the entire industry's obsession with corporate branding. Young dragged the big names directly. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, even Budweiser, mocking how music had become just another ad jingle. The video took it even further. A Michael Jackson lookalike's hair catches fire in a spoof of Jackson's infamous Pepsi commercial, while mock ads for beer, jeans, and cigarettes flash in the background. MTV took one look and said, "Yeah, no thanks," banning it immediately for supposedly violating their advertising policy, which is hilarious, considering it was an outright anti-advertisement. Neil being Neil didn't hold back. He called MTV a bunch of spineless twerps in an open letter, and the media had a field day. The ultimate twist? After all the outrage, MTV eventually aired it, and then gave it Video of the Year. That's right, they banned it, then gave it a trophy. You simply can't make this up. Number 6. Angel of Death, Slayer, 1986. Only Slayer could kick off an album by diving headfirst into the darkest corner of human history, and somehow come out with a masterpiece and a PR nightmare. Angel of Death is historically horrifying. And the hypocrisy of religious institutions. The lyrics graphically detail the war crimes of Josef Mengele, the infamous Nazi doctor who conducted unspeakable experiments on prisoners at Auschwitz. Now, did Slayer glorify any of it? No. But that didn't stop people from freaking out, and honestly, fair. Because hearing brutal descriptions of Nazi torture techniques screamed over breakneck guitars isn't exactly casual listening. The song was banned in some regions in Germany, and Slayer was accused of Nazi sympathizing, neo-fascism, and worse, even though the band repeatedly said the song was historical commentary, not a tribute. Yet despite, or because of, the controversy, Angel of Death became one of Slayer's most iconic tracks. Number 7. Darling Nikki, Prince, 1984. If you've ever wondered what song broke the moral fabric of suburban America in half, look no further than Darling Nikki. In just 5 minutes, Prince managed to unleash a national meltdown over the words masturbating with a magazine. It was so scandalous that it caused Tipper Gore herself to march down from her parental ivory tower and launch the PMRC, aka the reason those little parental advisory stickers started appearing on CDs. This wasn't just a song. It was the musical equivalent of lighting a cigarette in church, raw, dirty, and soaked in Prince's signature blend of genius and eroticism. And Prince sure as hell wasn't giving any apologies. Thanks to the outrage, it became Exhibit A in the US Senate hearings on music censorship. Prince's Darling Nikki was so controversial that some retailers refused to stock it. Radio stations banned it, but the fans, they made Purple Rain a significant part of music history. Number 8. Too Drunk to F***, Dead Kennedys. Yes, that's actually the title. No asterisks, no apologies, just pure glorious rock middle finger energy. When Dead Kennedys dropped Too Drunk to Fuck in 1981, they were obviously not trying to win over radio stations. The song is a sarcastic, ugly night out anthem delivered with Jello Biafra's signature sneer, chronicling a violent, sleazy blackout evening that ends, well, as the title promises. The BBC heard the first 3 seconds and banned it immediately. US stations weren't far behind. Most refused to touch it, and the few that did bleeped the title so hard it sounded like Morse code. Some stories outright refused to carry the single unless it was hidden behind the counter, like an illegal substance. But despite all that, the song still climbed the UK singles chart, eventually cracking the top 40, making it the first charting song with the word fuck in the title. Even censorship couldn't kill it. Too Drunk to Fuck became the unofficial anthem of punk rebellion. It's what you play when you want to offend absolutely everyone in the room and still somehow look cool doing it. It's dirty, ridiculous, and brutally honest, and that's exactly why it's unforgettable. Number 9. Hot for Teacher, Van Halen, 1984. Well. If it isn't one of the most inappropriately catchy songs to ever make it to the mainstream. Hot for Teacher by Van Halen isn't just a rock song. It's a full-on, borderline illegal flirtation disguised as an anthem for high school crushes. But this wasn't your typical, I've got a thing for my classmate tune. Oh no, this one went straight for the jugular, with a seriously uncomfortable and over-sexualized crush on a teacher. Critics tore into the objectification of women in the video. The music video, loaded with over-the-top visuals and that infamous teacher fantasy sequence, only made matters worse. It was so racy that MTV decided to limit its airplay to late-night hours. Because, nothing says family-friendly, like a hyperactive classroom filled with lusty high schooler daydreams. The controversy didn't stop there. Schools across the country banned the song for its inappropriate themes, and many radio stations followed suit, refusing to play it during the day. Despite the backlash, Hot for Teacher was everywhere. Radio stations, clubs, and parties couldn't get enough of it. The riff is iconic, the energy's infectious, and David Lee Roth's I'm Hot for Teacher scream is pure rock and roll gold. Sure, the song's been the subject of debates for decades over the line between edgy and gross, but it didn't stop it from becoming a legendary anthem of adolescent lust. Number 10. Be Cruel to Your School, Twisted Sister, 1985. The music video Be Cruel to Your School was a horror show. And I'm not talking about a cheesy, spooky video. No, this one went full-on zombie gore with a music video so disturbing, even MTV couldn't handle it. We're talking bloody, decayed faces, skulls, and a general vibe that yells, "What the hell did I just watch?" The song itself wasn't that crazy. Just another rebellious anthem about school, life, and not giving a damn. But the video, that was a whole different beast. With its grotesque images of zombies and graphic horror effects, the video was banned outright by MTV, who was just not ready for that level of shock. It was like a twisted love letter to the Night of the Living Dead era, except you're supposed to be headbanging to it, not covering your eyes. But here's the thing, Be Cruel to Your School wasn't just banned for its shock value. It also became an example of the PMRC's crackdown on music videos and their increasing influence over what was appropriate for public consumption. The whole thing was a massive middle finger to the establishment, and honestly it worked. It's not the band's most popular song, but it became a defining moment in the battle over the right to make art without the government or moral watchdogs breathing down your neck. Which of these banned and burned 80s tracks stirred up the most trouble? And which one still gets your rebellious side fired up today? Let us know in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into the songs they tried to silence, but couldn't.